This is a box of motorcycle parts. Well, this is a box of motorcycle parts. Well, more specifically, a motorcycle engine in a lot of pieces. It is not quite an abandoned project. What happened is I completely tore apart the engine and I went away for the summer and was not able to put it back together before I left. So it is in pieces in here. There's a lot of other random pieces like some wiring stuff, some gasket material, lots of stuff in here, and then parts. So I'm gonna get all of this out here, try to remember where I left off with this. If I remember right, I had cleaned a lot of the parts and did not clean also a lot of the parts. I think it was like 50-50. And then my ultrasonic is at home, so my goal is to figure out what's clean, what's taken care of, and then take the rest home in the bucket and get that all cleaned up and bring it back here, and then hopefully rebuild the engine. And I'll show you why I had to rebuild it here in a second, but I'm just going to get this all out, get the engine pieces all spread out, and everything else probably to the side. Now this is also another box of motorcycle parts. And it actually has a really cool story behind it that I wanted to share with you. Like I mentioned, I went away for the summer. I went and took a summer job out in California. For those of you wondering, yes, it was knocking doors. And that's actually how I ended up with these. Crazy story. So the motorcycle right here, it's a 1962 Honda C110. And now the C110 wasn't all that popular of a bike. Hardly anyone even knows about it, let alone knows where to get parts or how to work on them, anything like that. They're one of the more niche bikes. And not that there weren't like a good amount of them, people just didn't really care to get to know a lot about them. But anyways, I'm out there in California and I'm knocking doors, and I knock on this gentleman's door. He invites me inside his home, and I walk in, and right to the side in the front room, I see he's got some motorcycles. I'm spacing on it right now. It reminded me of like an old Indian motorcycle, but I know it wasn't that. Anyways, that's besides the point. I'm like asking him about his motorcycle. I'm like, that's super cool. And then I told him, like, yeah, I've got a motorcycle I'm working on restoring. And he asks me what it is. I'm like, it's a 1962 C110. It's actually my grandpa's motorcycle. And he's like, oh, I wish you were here yesterday. I'm like, why? He's like, I just had a whole box of C110 parts that I just gave away to my friend because I didn't have anything to do with them. And I was like, here, you can have these. He didn't have a C110 either. He's just like, here, you can have them. He knew we like parts. And I'm sitting there like, oh man, I wish I was here yesterday. He's like, well, are you going to be back tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, I will be back in the area tomorrow. He says, I'm going to go to my friend and I'm going to go get those parts back. And you come back and you can have them. I'm like, you're kidding me. And sure enough, he told me he was going to leave them in a box because he was going to be gone throughout the day, but he's going to leave them in a box on his doorstep. Sure enough, I come back the next day and there's a box, different box. This is a new one because the old one fell apart, much like this one. But there's a box sitting on the doorstep. I'm like, you're kidding me. This guy is just about to give me these parts. And I look throughout it and it's just all C110 parts. More importantly, there were a lot of parts that I needed. For example, this is the chain cover, sprocket cover. I don't know names of parts, but you can see this one is broken right here. Now he had this one and it's also broken in the same spot, but broken a lot less. It also has the Honda embossing that I really like. But that's just an example. A lot of the parts that I needed, he had. And I forget his name. I want to say it was like Craig. But if you're watching this, I really wish I knew your name. He was in Bakersfield, California. I remember that. I could probably still get to his house, but I can't remember his name. thank you. You have no idea how much that means to me. It's the coolest thing. But anyways, that is what is all in just this box. And I went through it a little bit, but I haven't really been able to dig through it a whole lot. I'm just going to say his name is Craig. It was something like that. So shout out, Craig. You're amazing. Here is all the parts that I had. These actually, I left them cleaner than I thought. So you can see that one's been cleaned. That definitely needs cleaned some more. This hasn't been touched at all. That's been cleaned. These were kind of cleaned at one point. This needs to be cleaned. That was mostly clean. So like I said, it's about half and half, but going through all of these and cleaning that's going to be kind of a pain, but that's what an ultrasonic is for. Now here is the box from Craig. That looks like junk, honestly. You know, the thing I was actually the most excited about was the air filter. They don't make new versions of these, and the new old stocks are like 120, 150 bucks. I'm not going to throw it in there like that, trust me. Just having one of these and the fact that I will likely be able to clean this and use it is game changing for me. I'm just going to spread these out. Then I guess I got to just take them home and get them cleaned up. I wanted to show you the whole reason I even started this, because it's not like the engine really necessarily needed to be rebuilt. It's actually because of one tiny little stupid piece. This right here. That piece is the kickstarter. And you can see on the end is sheared off. In order to get to that piece, you have to take apart the entire engine and pull it out like this. It doesn't just like slide through, because this eventually goes through and it pops out on this end. Pops out of that hole. Just like that. Boop. And no, you can't just pull it through. You have to remove all of this. That's in the way. That's in the way. This is in the way. And so I got most of the way done, and all the grime on my fingers and just the dirt tearing it apart. This sat in a barn for like 30 years, by the way. So it's got sawdust and stuff everywhere. That ended up inside it. And by the time I had torn the entire thing apart, I was like, I should just clean it, make it look really nice. I'll try and get these painted or powder coated, something. I don't know. And then I'll replace this. I would actually really like, because these are common to break. And I went and bought one. Well, my dad technically bought it. How cool is that? New old stock. Still had the part number in it somewhere too. I went and got the new one of it. My only worry is, am I going to throw this on there, and then within the first, like, I don't know, dozen kicks or whatever, we're just going to have the same issue. And yeah, I can push start the thing. It's only like 49 cc's, I want to say. But am I going to... Look at that. It's only the tiniest little bit that's shredded off too. But that's just enough that it doesn't work. Biggest concern is, am I going through all of this work just to replace that, and then this is going to shear off within the first dozen or so kicks? I'd really like, if I could, to find a machine shop near me that can remake this. I'm pretty sure that end part slides off, but that can remake all of this in a much stronger material that's going to last. Looked into an electric start that attaches into here, and there's definitely no kits for that. And the universal kits that I could find just really wouldn't work out, and it wasn't something that was going to make sense. That's kind of where I'm at. If you're in the Salt Lake area, you know a machine shop that can make something like this out of aerospace grade titanium. I don't know, just make it stronger. Hit me up, let me know. You'll probably see me cleaning these up here and packing them up and taking them home. Okay, we are all set up at home. I've got an ultrasonic cleaner. Gonna throw some water and some pine sol in there, rags and everything to clean it up. It should go pretty easy. I cleaned the first like half of the parts doing it with this technique. It seemed to work out all right. There are some parts that I'm gonna, like the actual casing and stuff, I'm gonna strip the paint off of. So I've got some paint stripper for that, probably down the road. Plus I left some of those parts at the shop still. But once everything's all cleaned up and looks nice and pretty, I'll probably paint some parts or powder coat some other parts. Then I can get the engine back together and then we're good to go. Well, you know when you try to clean your room and you find something that distracts you and that takes up all of your attention, and then you don't clean your room? Same thing happens when you're cleaning motorcycle parts. I didn't even touch the stuff in here, only touched these two things. And I was playing with the transmission. I honestly have no idea how a motorcycle transmission works. And so I learned today, but I spent probably a good hour just playing and tinkering with that. Also realized that I don't have any of my sockets or wrenches or pliers or reverse pliers or anything like that to disassemble this properly to be able to clean each a little bit like I want to be able to. Like I want to be able to take apart each of these gears completely clean them down, get them nice and clean. Same thing with stuff over here. I mean, I can't even take off the spark plug because I don't have the tool for that. And then in here, I don't even know. Like I said, I didn't have to look at that one, but that's where I'm leaving off. I would keep going, except for it's getting kind of late. So I'm going to probably pick this up on Saturday morning. I'm going to swing by my shop, get some of my tools that I need to be able to do all of this, get some more brake clean as well. I ran out of that. And then once I put all of those into the equation, then I should be able to wrap this up. I am starting to figure out the parts that I'm going to want to either paint or powder coat. So like the actual casing, housing, whatever, this aluminum part, I'm going to want to get that repainted or powder coat. Well, you know what I mean when I say one or the other. And then this, I guess, valve cover, I think is what that is, the equivalent of. And then all of this and that, want to get all of that painted in some way. So it looks nice and neat. It does have a lot of grime on it. Like I mentioned before, this bike was sitting in a shed, actually next to a cabinet shop. So there is sawdust everywhere and in all the nooks and crannies. And so that's a lot of what I'm cleaning out, which this helps a ton with. And then I use the brake clean to get a lot of the oil. And then I don't want to leave exposed steel. So just to be safe, I'm rubbing it with a little bit of just motor oil, just enough that they are wet and shiny. You can see that. So hopefully in the next couple of seconds, it'll be Saturday morning and I will have everything I need to be able to wrap this up. Again, if you're in the Salt Lake area and you do powder coating or paint, let me know. I think other than that, I will see you back here on Saturday. Saturday. Gonna be a big Saturday. Well, for me, but not in terms of the motorcycle because I woke up late, so now I'm running a little bit behind. But I am still going to be able to go to the shop, get the tools that I need, and go to the auto parts store, get some brake clean, so that when I do have the time, whether it's just a couple minutes or a couple hours or a whole day, I can just bust it out and get going with it. So to the shop I go. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. We are here a week later, another Saturday, another short time frame, inching along on the motorcycle. I went and got the tools that I needed to finish taking apart the motorcycle engine, and I'll be able to get it all completely cleaned, hopefully for real this time. I'm now realizing that I do need to find somebody to help with the powder coating because I want to powder coat the engine case. I also need a machine shop to help with kickstart spindle. I called around a couple of places. One of them actually said, oh, we don't do that, try these guys. And then I called that place and they said, oh, we don't do that, try these guys, which was the ones that referred me to them. I'm like, okay, cool. Not helpful though. I might just have to put that old piece back in and just cross my fingers, hope and pray that it doesn't end up slicing off again. or shearing off. I guess we'll see. Nothing to it but to do it. Well, check this out. I'm cleaning each of these one at a time individually, which is probably more than I need to do. But I'm also kind of taking the opportunity to inspect it because I know there's, pieces that'll fade and wear and tear and all that. And one of the gears in the transmission, I noticed there's some cracking on, like a pretty serious split. There is a crack right there. You can see it kind of goes into the middle of it, and then it's almost straight across. Let's see if it'll focus. Right in there. Now, with that crack being in there, there's a few different options that I can see. I can try and find this part, which I would guess is next to impossible. I'd be really surprised if I could find this. I can try and get it remade, which you see how well that's working out for me, trying to find parts for, or make parts for this. I can run it, and I can just hope that it doesn't break. I doubt that I could get it fixed. I think it'd take way too skilled of a fabricator to be able to weld that and then still keep it within the tolerances for it to work. Or I just don't have this gear. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, I need it. I could also just look at swapping the engine, which I don't love the idea of. I would really like to keep it mostly original with only the smallest upgrades. I didn't think this would be an issue that I would run into. Well, I'm gonna probably wrap up where I'm at, and I'm gonna quickly see what I can do as far as finding a replacement part. That would probably be my ideal, optimistically, and I think the only other one after that that makes sense would be to get a whole new engine. It really wouldn't be hard to replace the engine. The other thing I could do is I could take that opportunity, and I've talked with my grandpa. He has suggested replacing the engine. So it's not like I'm wanting to keep it original because he wants it original. It's just because I want it original. I want it to look like it was still brand new, with just, and when I mean like upgrades, I mean like I reupholstered the seats and I'm gonna put nicer handlebars and maybe an LED light or something like that. Just really simple upgrades. But I would love to make it look like it was just brand new still from 1962. A different engine is not going to do that. But if I put a new engine in it, that's 50, 60 years of engine development that's gone into that. That's going to give me way better engines. Honestly, I could get something out of a Grom, and then I have a fuel injected motor and it can go faster. I know Groms can't go fast, but I think this is only like a 49cc or something. So going to a 125 from a Grom or that platform would be a pretty big increase. Then the aftermarket support. Shoot, I'm talking myself into an engine swap now on a motorcycle after I did all of this. All right. I'm gonna need to think about it, honestly. I'm gonna look at some options. I'm gonna look at some options to replace that part, because there are like 2 websites, and I know they have gears and stuff, but and I think I might be looking at how much an engine might be. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap up where I'm at. I will try to at least update in this video, in the next clip or so, where I'm leaning. But I think this might be on pause. Although I am probably going to the shop today, and I'm gonna work on getting a lot of the motorcycle disassembled. Try to get it down to just the frame, get that ready for paint, get it ready for whatever I might need to do to that, including fitting a bigger engine maybe now. But getting it stripped down at least and going from there. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll update you. You know I will. Goodness gracious, I'm dramatic. It took like 30 seconds of research to find that gear online. I was just not very optimistic because the main website that I've seen all the parts on it's like half of them are like out of stock, and the other ones it's like I don't know if it's the right like sub model, but it looks like I found it. And I actually found a couple other like gaskets and stuff, so I'm gonna get those ordered and keep going with everything else. But I am out of time for today for this stuff, so I'm probably gonna go to the shop and get working on tearing apart some of that. I might work on this a bit more, but hopefully more tomorrow. Here in my garage, I don't have much time today. I've probably only got like an hour and a half or so. But my goal is to get as much of this off of here that's not going to be powder coated. So I want to powder coat this, I want to powder coat this, I want to powder coat maybe that. I don't know. But my goal is to get all of that because I'm to a point with the engine that I want to get some of those parts powder coated, and I want to get that process going. I need to get all of the powder coat parts together. I guess I could go one at a time and say, hey. Sorry. I could go and say, hey, here's a part, powder coat it. Here's another part, powder coat it. Week later, here's another part, powder coat it. But I'd like to just bundle it all together and show up and say, hey, this needs to be silver, this needs to be blue, and call it good. Well, all right, this is where I'm leaving off. Like I said, I'm short on time. I feel like that's just the story of my life. It's kind of funny working on this because it's so simple, and these old motorcycles were basically bicycles. So flipping it upside down like this reminds me when I was a kid, flipping my BMX bike over to change the tires and thinking I was a mechanic. Now here I am, 20 years later, fake mechanic. But getting somewhere with this, I've got quite a few parts off of here. Pretty much split it in half. So I've got the whole rear end, all of the parts off of there, all of them in there. Goodness gracious, I'm looking at that now and I hope I remember where all those go. Wish me luck. And then this is going to be probably in a couple days. On today's Tuesday, probably on Thursday I'll come back and finish getting all of that taken off. Looks like the most complicated part is just going to be the brakes in here. They're kind of weird, but should be not too difficult. Like I said, these bikes are pretty easy to work on. Once I get that all taken off, then I've got the main frame there and the forks up here, I think are the only two real parts that are needing powder coated. Got those, and those. And then the engine parts at home, just need to take all of those, go drop them off, say, hey, make these look pretty. And I'm good from there. Got to replace a few other parts, of course, but that gets me basically over the hump to putting this thing back together. So super excited. Probably just going to end the video right here. So maybe in the next one, I'll just show you me finishing up the next one, but I want to get this video wrapped up. It's been taking me a couple of weeks now to get this filmed and just get to the point where I am. So I know it's not the best stopping point, but I want to update you guys on where I'm at, update you with what's going on. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next one.